Hi everyone, welcome to this video. This week's video is made for the week 12 grammar lesson with the title Complex Sentence. The resources or the materials you need corresponding to this lesson are your literary companion book, page 242 until 243, your grammar activity booklet, page 34 until 36. The lesson objectives. The objectives of this lesson are: 1. To enable students to use varied sentence types in writing and speaking. 2. Identify the structure and function of the different sentence types. 3. Correctly use complex sentence in your texts and speeches. Before we start discussing the particular lesson, complex sentence, you need to have understanding of what a sentence structure is and the 4 different types of sentence structure. As you might recall from your previous grammar lessons, sentence can be classified into 4 based on its structure: into simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. What is a simple sentence? A simple sentence contains one independent clause. As you might remember from your previous grammar lesson, an independent clause is a clause that has a subject and a verb and that can stand alone. In other words, a simple sentence has one main idea. Compound subjects are okay. That means a simple sentence can have a compound subject or a compound predicate. Examples of simple sentence: she caught the ball near the goal line. In this sentence, as you can see, the subject is she, the verb is caught. It's a simple sentence because it has a subject and a verb, and it makes a complete sense. We waited for the bus in the unbearable heat. This is another example of a simple sentence. The third example of simple sentence: cell phones and headphones should both be put away during class. As you can see, this sentence has a compound subject and it's still a simple sentence. The second type of sentence structure is compound sentence. A compound sentence contains 2 or more independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction or a semicolon. Again, as you might remember from your previous grammar lessons, a coordinating conjunction is one type of conjunction that's used to link or join words, phrases, or 2 independent clauses. Some examples of coordinating conjunctions are, as you can see it on the screen, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Examples of compound sentence. The 3 sentences here are examples of complex sentence. As you can see it, the first sentence, there are 2 independent clauses joined by the coordinating conjunction so. In the second sentence, there are again 2 independent clauses joined by the conjunction but. In the third sentence, note that the 2 independent clauses are joined by a semicolon. As we discussed it in our previous lesson, a semicolon can be used to join 2 independent clauses. Okay, let's review. What independent clauses, what are dependent clauses, what are simple sentences, and what are compound sentences. Okay. The third type of sentence structure is complex sentence. A complex sentence is made up of one independent clause joined with a dependent clause. That means it should at least have one one dependent clause and one independent clause. Sentence structures, complex sentence. Dependent clause starts with a subordinator, or which is also known as a subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunctions, as you might recall from your previous lesson, are words like since, because, before, after, although, when, until, while, etc. Examples of complex sentence. After he said goodbye to everyone, Abdullah got into the taxi and went to the airport. The yellow shaded part of this sentence is an independent clause. It's an independent clause because if you remove it from the entire sentence, it can still stand alone. That means it can read as Abdullah got into the taxi and went to the airport. The other part of this sentence, after he said goodbye to everyone, is a dependent clause. As you can see it, it can't stand alone. After he said goodbye to everyone, if you just stop this sentence at everyone, that you can understand that the sentence needs something to complete. So it's a dependent clause with a subordinating conjunction after. Examples of complex sentence. They censored the movie because they didn't want to offend anyone. As you can see here, the first part of this sentence, which is they censored the movie, is an independent clause. The other part of the sentence, because they didn't want to offend anyone, is a dependent clause because it's preceded by the subordinating conjunction because. Another example of complex sentence. Since it was early release day, we went to Harfi and ate 50 hot wings. As you can see it, the first part of this sentence, which is shaded in yellow, is a dependent clause. It's dependent because it's preceded by the subordinating conjunction since. The other part of this sentence, we went to Harfi and ate 50 hot wings, is an independent clause because it can stand alone. Practice for you. Write down the dependent clause and circle the subordinating conjunction of the following four sentences. This is gonna be an independent work. You're gonna have to do it by yourselves. Have you got any questions? So far we have discussed independent and dependent clauses, simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. Now we will move on to the fourth and the last type of sentence structure, which is a compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence, as its name indicates, is made up of compound and complex sentence. A compound complex sentence contains two or more independent clauses joined with at least one dependent clause. That means it can have more than one dependent clause, but the minimum requirement is it must have at least one dependent clause and two or more independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. Examples of compound complex sentence. Although they usually watch dramas, they decided to see a comedy and they enjoyed it very much. The dependent clause, although they usually watch dramas. The independent clause, they decided to see a comedy. They enjoyed it very much. The two independent clauses are joined by the coordinating conjunction and the dependent clause, although they usually watch dramas, is preceded by the subordinating conjunction although. Examples of compound complex sentence. Sammy had to wake up early to go to practice, but he was glad he stayed up late because he was able to watch the championship game on TV. The independent clause. Sammy had to wake up early to go to the practice. Another independent clause. He was glad he stayed up late. The two independent clauses are joined by the coordinating conjunction but, and the dependent clause or the subordinate clause is preceded by the subordinating conjunction because he was able to watch the championship game on TV. Practice for you. Identify if each sentence below is compound or complex, and also identify the independent clause in each sentence. You can see the sentence on the screen. Answer number 1, answer number 2, answer number 3, and answer number 4. Have you got any questions so far? Okay. Sentence structures. We are going to have some practice on sentence identification and labeling. Sentence structures, remember, are simple, compound, complex, compound, complex. What is the structure of this sentence you see on the screen? It rained for 3 days, so the streets in my neighborhood flooded. Sentence structure number 2. John stayed up late because he was playing video games. Sentence structure number 3. Mildred and Anne could arrange the pictures in a special album. Sentence structure number 3. Even though his heart was pounding, Jim raced up the stairs and he checked out the strange noise. It's your turn to answer the previous questions. I hope you got some information on sentence structures from this video. If you have any questions, you can contact me later in our interactive website, Schoology. Have a good time. Bye bye.